Hey there, I am D. So I just finished watching well, the last episode of Series 5 of Doctor Who. All executively produced by Stephen Moffat, whom I have mentioned before, but let's not go there again. So I can understand that the guy is a bit of a Doctor Who fan, and anyone who's familiar with any of his other works has probably noticed that in well, personally I only know couplings, so but I have noticed a few references to Doctor Who in the said show. So yeah, the guy's a fan, obviously, so he probably put a whole lot of things in this show that he, as a kid, would have loved to have seen, etc. and so forth. And well, quite personally, I really don't know what to think about this, cause well, okay, I'm gonna try not to spoil too much, but let's just say, yeah, what he had in mind for cracks in time is not exactly what I would have had in mind, and which in and of itself should be good. I mean, he can come up with things that I can't, ergo that would mean he's a better writer than I am. True, but on the other hand, one of the main reasons that I would never have come up with what he came up with is because it just doesn't make any sense. For instance, it is suggested that somehow when people would disappear, by what means I'm not gonna say, because that would be a bit of a spoiler to those of you who haven't seen this yet, but anyway, somehow people will disappear, and not just disappear as in vanish into thin air, no. They would disappear as though they never existed altogether. So it could be that there's somebody right next to me right now, just an example. But anyway, then suddenly this person walks away, and suddenly I don't remember him or her. Don't even remember if it was a he or a she, for that matter. It's like this person never existed. Now I suppose that's quite creative, but then if somebody never existed, then there shouldn't be any traces of that person left. At least nothing immediately visible. Like, suppose this person bought something and I still had it in my hands right now. That would be some kind of an indication that somebody else was there. So having him, okay, it's maybe a bad example, but it gets clear when you actually saw the show. But anyway, how can somebody? Why is it somehow when somebody disappears, and is made to seem like he or she never existed? And why is it that why is it somehow mentally people have forgotten about this person, but somehow physically it's like he or she has been there once before? It kind of boggles the mind to me. But that's not the strangest thing. There's this other episode, yeah, I suppose would be a bit of a spoiler on one hand, but on the other it would gives some among you something to look forward to. Apparently there's this one episode in which well, pretty much everyone the Doctor has ever pissed off would come together. The Daleks, the Cybermen, the Sontarans, the Autons, those reptile people, pretty much everybody. The problem is, most of these people well, don't have time-traveling technology among other technologies, so at that point in time where these people come together, they either should have never heard of the Doctor, and even if they have, but they wouldn't. The bottom line is, somehow it was suggested they all come together as some kind of forged alliance during the age of the Roman Empire, which to all intents and purposes makes no sense. Granted, I suppose, what with the Daleks being able to travel through time, it can be suggested that they somehow allowed other people, like the Cybermen or the Centaurans, to use the same technology, but knowing the Daleks, and especially bearing in mind that these Daleks aren't the same ones that Russell T Davies created, and I'll get back to that in a moment, I really don't see why they would share their technologies with them. So there were a lot of things that really don't make a whole lot of sense. I know with Doctor Who you have to suspend a little disbelief, but this came to a point where even I'm wondering what the hell is going on here. Also, I will admit, so there is this moment in which Moffat's version of the Daleks would meet with Russell D Davies, his version of the Daleks. Yeah, how that's possible, you really have to watch this one particular episode. But the point is, so Moffat has his own Daleks, destroy the Daleks as Davies had created them. No doubt a bit of a form of symbolism there. I mean, I've noticed not too many people were too keen about Davies, his version of the Daleks. Don't really know why, but... And so yeah, I do think Moffat did a great job with this show, although some things are either a bit too mind-boggling, or I think he went a little out of line at some point. I mean, I even wonder if he knows what's happened in his own show. Well, I suppose the Matt Smith version of the Doctor is... Well, he was kind of alright. But he's still something in the same league as Tennant. But although unlike Tennant, this guy didn't well, indeed, I agree with this one user who left a comment on one of my earlier Doctor Who review. I don't know if it's a he or a she, but anyway, that user does like the fact that Smith doesn't snarl as much as Tennant, and yeah, I suppose that little detail alone is enough to make this guy be so much better than Tennant. He still hasn't exactly overthrown Eccleston, in my opinion, but at least, yeah, I prefer this guy over Tennant any day. But anyway, speaking of different versions of the Doctor, so there was this one episode, which I've already reviewed before, where all of the Doctors make a brief cameo appearance. I just said the same thing twice, because cameo appearances usually are brief. Anyway, and then there's another episode in which pretty much the same thing happens, albeit under different circumstances, of which I still wonder what was going through the heads of whoever wrote that one. And no, this wasn't by Moffat, although since he's executive producer, at least he did greenlit the thing. But anyway, if he really wants to somehow... seriously, I mean, there are two episodes in which he allowed earlier Doctors to make a brief appearance. Why doesn't he just make one episode that'll have all of the Doctors at the same time? Yes, I know, the first three Doctors, Hartnell, Pertwee and Troughton, are already dead. But then when they made the first Doctors, a earlier Doctor Who special, Hartnell was already dead, yet the first Doctor made an appearance in that special, so no, it's not impossible. Unlikely, but not impossible. Well, I suppose it was a great show. I mean, that's usually the case with Doctor Who, but there are still too many things that have me scratch my head a little, because really half the time I'm not even sure what's going on, and it's all made to seem like it's making sense, but if you actually stop and think about it, no, it doesn't. So it's a... So I can't actually say I can't say it was bad, but because of a lot of things I can't exactly say it was good either. Well, I suppose it had its good things, and there are some bad things, yes. I'd still recommend a lot of you to watch this, but you'll probably be just as confused as I am right now with this show. Oh well. There I said what I wanted to say. This was D. I'm signing off.